This is reposted.
Okay, Mr. Keller, how do you wake up? Is it like the world is going to happen today and I get to be a part of it? Or is it like, man, I'm going to hit the snooze button 5 times, eat Cheerios, go to work, come home, eat dinner with the fam, watch some Netflix, and go to sleep? Before you answer that, let me read you today's quote from The Beginner's Mind, Shunryu Suzuki. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few. How do you wake up, Mr. Keller?
I stopped snoozing probably 15 years ago. Whenever I wake up, I don't hit the snooze button. I might stay in bed, but I feel like the snooze button is a waste of time because you're just waiting for it to go off again. It's not good sleep. Also, I don't think I've ever had Cheerios in my life. But I mean, I think my days are a little bit different sometimes. Like today, I didn't wake up thinking I was going to take on the world, but sometimes I wake up, get out of my cold shower, and I'm ready to do anything and just tackle my list. I think you're a snoozer, but with your work, I don't know if you can. So what do you do?
It's more of the idea, do you wake up every day thinking, you know what, anything could happen today, or you know what, the same old baloney is going to happen?
I've more times than not, I say anything can happen. I also think my personality is more of, I don't think something's going to happen. I have to make it happen. So let's start working towards making it happen rather than waiting for it to happen. But sometimes I have off days. I'm curious, like, is this saying having the beginner's mind is better and being an expert is worse? Like, how do you interpret this?
I interpret it as like, what is your mindset of, do I still need to learn things or do I know it all? Like, is your mind open to whatever the universe might teach you? Or as you've gotten older, you're like, you know what? I know all that I need to know and nothing's going to change me anymore.
I mean, I guess I could take a strong angle on both sides of this because I mean, I think there is a benefit in being an expert is you're going to do something more efficiently and you're going to do it better. Like I think about an expert finish carpenter, like knows the best way to get the cuts done right for his wood, but like in a more macro sense, being a beginner is a better way. I go back to this example a lot, but when I worked in construction, we tried to have more remote working, and the guys that were quote experts that had 30 years of experience said it's not possible to do construction remotely. Lo and behold, 2020 proves that managing construction can be done that way. So I think the expert has somewhat of a disadvantage, but also an advantage of like doing it correctly as opposed to trying many possibilities the wrong way.
Digging a little deeper into this quote from Shunryu Suzuki. An empty mind is a ready mind. If your mind is empty, it's always ready for anything. It's open to everything. In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities. In the expert's mind, there are few. So when I say, like, you know, are you open? Like, hey, man, anything could happen today. I could learn something new. I could get a new promotion. Like, this just seems like the road of possibilities are wide open. And that also means from learning something, like with that carpenter analogy. Like, hey, you know what's you might bump into another carpenter and they might give you a tip and you're like, man, I don't need your new tip, but it might save you time.
Yeah, I guess maybe my take could be that always yourself have the beginner's mind. Never assume you're an expert, but seek out experts' advice. So they might, like if you're going to do a project, if I was going to regrout my bathroom, I wouldn't call you up because you're a beginner and be like, well, you have the beginner's mindset. Like, what should my approach be? I think the beginner's mindset is more of a macro view for who you should be, but you should seek out others' advice.
You know, experts are, kind of an interesting thing, kind of like a bigger picture idea of this. In Christopher Columbus's day, all the scientists said the world was flat, and he pushed back on all of them and said it wasn't, and he proved them wrong. Same with Galileo. Everybody, the scientists of that day, the experts of that day, said the earth, everything revolves around the earth, and he was like, "Hey, man, I got a telescope. That's not right." Sometimes the experts want to do things a certain way because they've gotten used to it, and it takes a beginner's mind to kind of push that and say, like, hey, no, it doesn't have to be that way.
I mean, yeah, there's obvious examples of that in the auto industry. Detroit was like, well, we're going to go bigger, faster, less fuel efficient, and Japan really hadn't made guitars, had made cars before, and they start doing it better. And then Flash forward, I guess the mid 2000s. Oh, yeah, electric cars aren't going to be, they're not possible. And now it seems like in the near future, maybe only electric cars are going to be manufactured. So always be innovating is good.
I also think, along with this beginner's mindset, there's some sort of naivety. Like as kids, my kids, they still think that they can be president of the United States. But then you get old and grumpy and realize the world is fated for those people that go to Ivy League schools and come from good heritage and da 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 da. But they still believe, you know what, anything is possible. I could be president of the United States, whereas I know that's not possible.
Do you tell that to their face? Hey,
No,
no,
no, no, no, no, no. I let them. I think, hey man, I've come to this. I'm in a good spot in my life. I'm like, hey man, have your naivety as long as you can.
Well, I mean, but for some people, it's not going to be a naivete because, like, people that say they're going to play professional sports, statistically, they're not going to, but someone is, and so I think there's the hope for changing it. But I think also, I don't know why I'm taking the experts' side so much, but the world kind of functions because we have experts and because there's systems and process, and we want people challenging them and thinking outside the box. But like for a day to day, being able to function and being able to have systems in place, you need the experts. Like Elon Musk came up with this concept. He didn't come up with the concept. He has Tesla. He's the big thinker at Tesla and the cars, but I would guess that the chief engineer is like very much an expert and like isn't thinking outside of the box of physics or that. So I think that the experts are important, but go back to just always challenge stuff is maybe what I take from this.
Well, the whole thing about Elon Musk, though, right? He at one point had the beginner's mind of like, hey man, there is not a good fast driving electric car. We got to be able to do this. Like he had that, like nobody else is doing it. We got to be able to create this. We got to be able to make by the way, a space company for the first time run by the private sector. Like he had that idea of like, nobody else is doing it. Maybe we could do it.
Yeah, I feel like you say this all the time. If everyone's zigging, maybe you should zag. And so it's like Uber, Airbnb, all these things that like there's a void and the traditional wisdom says that it's not possible. And maybe when the traditional wisdom says it's not possible, then you should try to figure out a way to do it or challenge someone to.
I definitely feel like Aristotle also said this: the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And I feel like I certainly have sort of gravitated to that the older I've gotten.
Yeah, I mean, I remember times as a teenager telling my parents that they were wrong, and you like get further on into life for stupid things. But I guess that's for a different show. Well, if you want to figure out how to divide by zero, please reach out. You can find us at Reposted Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I'm Andrew Keller for the pink scarf saying thanks for stopping by.